Hey guys, it's Sarah with AmericanMuscle.com, and today we have a review and install of the Cervini's Stalker hood with an unpainted finish fitting your 18 and newer Mustang GT or EcoBoost. This is perfect for the Mustang owner looking to add some style as well as some functionality to their car. This hood features a tough fiberglass construction and it does show up unpainted. I know you guys are looking at this nicely painted hood and wondering why I would say that. It shows up unpainted and you can paint match it to your Mustang. We wanted to give you an idea of how nice it looks once it's complete. So the function comes in with this scoop in the front of the hood that you see here. It does sit up a bit higher to give you some more room to move around in the engine bay. In addition, it does have this large opening to get a ton more airflow into your engine bay. They do sell a scoop separate to really direct it towards your intake. And of course, if you are running an open element filter intake, you're really gonna get the most out of this feature. They also feature these black louvers for some added style. Now there is a vent underneath there, but it doesn't give you quite as much airflow as the front here, but still, it's a great feature to have. All right, so one thing to note with this hood is that out of the box, it will not bolt right up to hood struts. However, it does work with your factory windshield sprayers. Although you will see in a second, you may want to secure those a bit higher to make sure they don't snag on anything in your engine bay. So as far as price goes, this hood comes in at around $800, which is on the lower end price-wise when compared to other options. And for your money, you're getting both form and functionality with this hood without breaking the bank. I'm giving this install a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter. It does feature direct bolt-up installation that can be done within 1 hour. So with that said, let's get into our install. For this install, you will need a trim panel removal tool or a pop clip removal tool, a 10mm socket, and a ratchet. All right, so the first step in our install is to grab a pop clip removal tool and remove all of the push pins that hold on the liner underneath our hood. Get behind each of these and just pry away. Now you don't have to remove all of these. We are doing that to give you guys a better look at what we're doing behind this. But if you want to just remove the ones that are blocking your sprayer, that's why we're taking this out, and that's what we want to get to. All right, go ahead and remove it off the Mustang. All right, at this point we can disconnect the sprayer nozzle by pulling back on this black piece and pulling down. Now I'm gonna use a small flathead here. Just make sure you're being careful if you're gonna use a tool. You can use this by hand. And then repeat that process on the other side. Now finally remove the clips that hold on the sprayer line. All right, at this point we will have to transfer over the latch as well. So we're gonna grab a 10mm socket and remove the 2 nuts on either side. So go ahead and get these removed. All right, so at this point the hood is ready to come off. You're gonna grab your 10mm socket and a ratchet. We're gonna remove the 2 nuts that are holding on each side. Make sure you're supporting the hood as you do this. All right, so you're definitely gonna want a friend for this step. Have them grab the side of the hood where you just removed the bolts. Make sure you guys have a good handle on it because we're gonna remove the hood prop. Make sure you're supporting the hood. Grab a 10mm socket and remove the 2 nuts. All right, now you can remove the hood off the Mustang. All right, so now that we have our factory hood uninstalled from our Mustang, we can check it out side by side with our new hood here. Now there are a few differences. The first being this is fiberglass to the factory aluminum, so they're both pretty lightweight. They both have vents on them, although they are a different style. And the biggest difference here is the scoop in the front is gonna get a ton more air directly into your engine bay And in addition, this cowl section in the center sits up higher, getting you some more room as well. But with that said, let's finish up our install. All right, so at this point we do have to transfer a couple things over from our factory hood to our new hood. The sprayers here, we're just gonna pop these out. We're also gonna transfer the weather stripping as well. Let's start with the sprayers. All right, go ahead and insert your trim tool behind the sprayer and it should pop right out. All right, now do the same thing on the other side. All right, now you can install them into your new hood. Now they come out through this opening, which is kind of tight. They do clip in really nicely, but the angle at this is not super ideal, so I would either secure this nicely to your hood or maybe even put a hole right here for it to come out a little better. But that's just me. Just keep that in mind. This is going to hang a little bit lower than factory. Go ahead and repeat that on the other side. Line up the clip up top here and then clip it in the bottom. They clip in there pretty nicely. All right, so the last thing I want to point out is that while there are some holes in the bottom here that seem like they should be for weather stripping, the factory weather stripping does not work as it stands. If you do want some on your hood, you can grab some aftermarket weather stripping, which will work great, or you can modify your factory weather stripping to work. But with that said, let's get our hood installed. All right, so you may want a friend for this step. It definitely makes it easier. Go ahead and line up your hood and start to get the hardware installed. Now, because these are not studs, maybe a little bit more finagling that has to be done in order to get these to line up. All right, once you have one side in, you can go ahead and toss the hood prop back up to help you out. All right, go ahead and line the other side up using the hardware included with the hood. All right, so at this point, you want to make sure that your hood fitment is exactly where you want it. You're going to get all of the adjustment via these bolts, so try to almost close it, open it again, get it right to where you want it, and then we're going to tighten these down. Now, if you do tighten them down and it still doesn't line up, go ahead and loosen them just a bit on each side to get it perfect. Let's go ahead and grab our 10mm socket and tighten these down. Just be careful not to over tighten because we are going into fiberglass. And then repeat that on the other side. All right, at this point you can plug in your windshield washer sprayers. Listen for the click. And it may be wise to secure this up a bit. As I said before, it does hang down a little bit low. All right, at this point we're gonna remove the two 10mm bolts that are where our hood latch should be. Line up your latch. Make sure it's facing the correct orientation because it may contact this bump if it's not. And go ahead and tighten it down. Keep in mind we are still going into fiberglass and we don't want to over tighten. All right, so with the sprayers installed and the hood tightened down, let's go ahead and shut it. All right, so that is gonna do it for the review and install of this hood. And remember, for all things Mustang, keep it at AmericanMuscle.com.